Hello and welcome to Crucible of Words for more dedicated legacy action. One of the most asked for decks for me to play this December was a Monoblack Saga build of Dark Depths combo. So that's exactly what we're doing today, taking a list that went 7-2 by Ben Wernberg at the North American Eternal Weekend. So we have Dark Depths, which we can obviously make a 2020 with either Hexmage or Thespian stage. And we've got some tutors in the form of Profane Tutor and Expedition Map to kind of tie that together. Then the rest of the deck is kind of a weird little fun pile of things. So we've got Dark Rituals to power out some good stuff. Then we've got Orcish Bowmasters and Dauthi Voidwalker and Opposition Agent, just as a bunch of like good stuff to be doing in the meantime. We also have Troll of Khazad-dûm, which we can cycle and then reanimate with a couple of reanimates we've got kicking around. We've got some Thoughtseize for a bit of hand disruption. And then we have tutoring. So we have our 3 Urza Sagas and our 2 Profane Tutor. So we've got a decent selection of cards that we can tutor for. So we've got Sheoldred the Apocalypse, the One Ring, Liliana the Veil. That's basically the only remove in our deck. One Knot of this World so we can protect our Dark Depths. Shadowspear for making constructs and making them large. A Nihil Spellbomb for graveyard hate. A Manifold Key, which can go very nicely with a One Ring here. And this is also the one that gives you unblockability. So it's kind of doing two things. So it's giving you more value with your ring, but it can also make your Dark Depths unblockable, which is pretty tasty. And obviously the Expedition Map. We've got a couple in our mana base as well. So we've got 1 Ancient Tomb and 1 Ghost Quarter. And we have 1 Vault of Whispers. So this is something that we can go find that can pump up our construct tokens. We've got 4 Urborg to help our colourless lands out. But this deck is relatively reserved on the amount of colourless lands, which I quite like. I think it's quite difficult to build this deck without trimming some of your colourless lands. I think where this is trimmed seems perfectly fine to me. We have a couple of Chrome Moxes alongside our Dark Rituals to help power things out. And that's basically the deck. So we kind of can play a pretty normal game without doing our combo. But it's just a nice thing to have. And we have some cards that can just run away with the game on their own. Sideboard-wise, we've got quite a wide array of tools here. The one I want to draw your attention to first is this little spicy one. Dystopia. So this is 1 black enchantment, cumulative upkeep, pay 1 life. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a green or white permanent. So when you're boarding this in, you're taking one of your opponent's permanents every turn. It's going to cost you a little bit of life, but that's probably fine. That's probably the spiciest thing here. We've got a few other ones. We have Palantír here, which is awkwardly in the weird card art for this one that nobody likes, but that's what it is. So we can bring this in for grindy games where our opponent doesn't have Bowmasters. We have a Trinisphere if we need to try and shut down some Stormy type decks. Same with Null Rod. Ashok is very useful for anyone that wants to be searching their library. There's lots of decks like that. A lot of the Naya depths and Green-White depths and all that sort of stuff is going to be using this, so we can deal with that. A couple of Migrate Traps for Storm. A little bit of Graveyard Hate for the Surge Extraction. The removal is mainly packed into our sideboard as well. So we've got a couple of Edicts. We've got Feed the Swarm. We can also hit enchantments. And we've got Powder Keg, which can blow a bunch of stuff up. Powder Keg is good because it can blow up artifact lands as well. It just says destroy artifacts and creatures, so it doesn't specify non-lands, so that's pretty sweet. And yeah, that's the deck. Lots of stuff going on with it. Hopefully we're going to do some really interesting tutoring lines and just win out of nowhere, as well as just making our beloved Marit Lage. Oh, I also forgot to mention we've got a couple of tour acts as well for the white matchup too. Alright, let's jump right into it. Remember to like and subscribe and help me out that way, and let's get into it really. If you're looking to play Legacy on MTGO like me, why not try Card Hoarder? They're a rental service that I personally use, and I've found them better than other rental services that I've used in the past. So why not give them a try? Alright, our hand seems pretty reasonable here. I think we can keep this. We can lead off with a Thoughtseize, and then we can decide what we're doing with the rest of our turns. Preordain. This strikes me as a combo deck. That's usually where you see Preordain. Special for basic island, most likely some sort of show and tell variant. Omniscience. There we go. That's certainly one of the things that we're worried about. Okay, so maybe we can start getting them with these Bowmasters pretty sharpish. There's the Misty. We see both the Ponders here. That's a little bit annoying, but we'll see. They might just want to draw through some of their cards and then do the Ponder next turn. They did not shuffle their library. Interesting. Certainly not set to see that one. But this is going to be slower. We play it this turn. Next time we play the stage. Next turn we make the depths. That allows us to pivot into multiple things. So we'll play out this Saga. And pass. I think our opponent's almost certainly going to cast this Ponder. We might get a Brainstorm out of it. Right, there's the other island. And a Brainstorm, sure. I think this is going to be blue-green Omnitel. So we get another ping here, we grow our guy, we can start pressuring. And we just main phase this guy, make any sort of cantrips a real problem for our opponent. This also gives us +1 damage on our Orc Army token. We could play Pithing Needle on some sort of fetch land. Is that worth doing here? It's probably Misty Rainforest. Not very exciting, it's probably not going to do anything. But that's fine. Right, they're not trying to kill us right now. That's exciting. What do we want here? Nihil Spellbomb, Manifold Key, Chrome Mox. I think I want the Manifold Key, weirdly. Because this means that we can make our creature unblockable if they do show and tell in. Let's just make this now. Well, we've got the mana. Go to attacks. Bash in with some friends. And Impulse. You can certainly see them winning the game next turn. With an Omniscience or whatever. Took a little while resolving that, which probably means I didn't just have a clear way of winning the game. Intuition. That very much does lead to a clear way to winning the game, I imagine. Alright, have an Omniscience. We can kill an Emrakul in combat. And we can also sacrifice 6 permanents that aren't our 2020. Preordain. That's going to give us a couple of pings here. But if they find the show and tell, it might be good enough. Show and tell. We can put in the Chrome Mox here. We can put in the ring. I think we'll put in the ring. It doesn't give me protection because we haven't cast it. But we can draw some cards off of it. Right, an Impulse. Like an Emrakul isn't necessarily good enough. But an Emrakul will clear out all the Bowmasters so they can start casting some cantrips. Alright, this is our Bowmasters killing them now. Unless they draw into a Veil of Summer, which they might have in the main deck. They did not have it. Alright. So, we've got some weird and wonderful tools here. What would we like to do with them? Ashiok is interesting. It does stop them from being able to intuition, which is definitely one of their ways of doing things. I'm not really convinced we should be trying to discard and surgically extract things when we only have 4 Thoughtseize. That doesn't feel like enough. And the Sheoldred's Edicts and things, they're okay as long as our opponent's just putting in an Emrakul. If they're putting in the Omniscience, then we're just in trouble. And we're never going to get to remove it with the Fear the Swarm, so I don't think that's where we want to be. So I'm thinking something along the lines of these cards. They're in blue, so they're probably going to be bouncing stuff. So our Not This World is going to be relatively useful. Our Nihil Spellbomb, probably not so much. Ghost Quarter, I think we can probably think about trimming that. Our Profane Tutor might be too slow here. I like the Oppo Agents. I like the Liliana. We don't really need Ashiok if we've got the Oppo Agents. And this is a 61 card deck, so we need to find one more cut. I like being able to try and ramp out and do this. The Pithing Needle doesn't really do anything in this matchup for the most part. Especially Map, Manifold Key, Shadowspear. These are all okay. How much do I care about Shadowspear? I don't really want to be playing Trinisphere effects into a show and tell deck. That doesn't feel like a winning strategy. Palantír though? I could certainly see a Palantír doing some work for us. Alright, let's try this. Well, if our Ghost Quarter was a swamp, this would be a good hand, but it isn't, so I think we have to mulligan. Okay, some of these cards are ones we want to see in the matchup. The Reanimate's not really doing any work for us there. Right, unlikely to get turn 1. Alright, no turn 1 there. Sheoldred's Edict. We've got Bowmasters into Oppo Agent, which is both pretty useful things to be doing. So we can do Bowmasters and Dauthi here. Seems good to me. So they might be casting a Brainstorm in response because they know we can't cast a Bowmasters. A Flusterstorm. So we can't pay for this one. We can pay for 1 copy, but there's 2 copies on the stack. So, alright. Prismatic Vista. And nothing else. Interesting. Vampire Whispers. We have the option to Oppo Agent. We also have the option to Bowmasters. There is a Ponder. I think we allow this, and if you're trying to shuffle, we'll do the Opposition Agent. Put in the Opposition Agent because it's the most damage. It's think we're going to see some fetch lands being cracked here. So that makes their cantrips worse. They didn't shuffle their library, so we're going to stop them getting the other cards from the ponder. We have an Urborg. Let's go attacks. 3 damages. I think we will suspend this. We can hold up the Bowmasters here. Or the Edict if they like just show and tell and Emrakul into play. Show and tell. Right, we'll put in the Dauthi Voidwalker here. Is it the Dauthi Voidwalker or is it the Bowmasters? Put in the Bowmasters because that at least puts a trigger on the stack. And it means if they're doing loads of cantrips, they can't do that in response. Impulse. Sure, that's a cantrip that doesn't care about Bowmasters. Awkward. Emrakul the Eon's Torn. Right, sacrifice a non-token creature, please. Force of Will. Okay, this is going to eat all of our permanents bar 1, so I think we can probably say goodnight there. Okay. Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. I think we just run back in. We're on the play for this last game. What does our hand do? It has a Thoughtseize, and then we're going to have to be looking for lands with those, but I don't think we can throw away a Thoughtseize hand. Feels like one of our best tools. Right, they're mulliganing. That makes our Thoughtseize slightly better. Get a higher percentage of our opponent's things. Leyline of Sanctity. Alright, the Thoughtseize hand is no good anymore. Let's cycle this. A Chrome Mox. Don't really do anything right now. Let's just swamp cycle this. Get another swamp. Play another swamp. Let's imprint this Thoughtseize. I'll play this Hexmage. It at least does something. It can pressure our opponent's life total a little bit. And then we can try and jam the 1 ring until we find something good. A ponder, sure. They shuffled their library. We'll go to tax. Attack for 2. I think playing this Dark Depths is better than playing the 1 ring here. Because we need to win this game. We need to do it relatively sharpish. Hopefully they've got some sort of bounce spell. And we can just blow them out with our Not of This World. Brainstorm can do a lot of work and just basically give them the win. Oh, right. I didn't have it. Hexmage reigns supreme. All right. So we want to know. Yeah. Interested in how the deck plays out. Let's jam into round 2. All right. We're on the play for round 2. Our hand is a little bit of a weird one. With these double depths. But the other cards we have are good, so I will keep this. We have Bowmasters or Opposition Agent on 2, depending on what we think is going to be more useful. Because of the Ancient Tomb. We can also cycle the Troll on turn 1. Play out Swamp and pass. Our opponent is going to clean up, by the looks of it. Unless they're just a second main phase hipster. Alright. Maybe they're waiting to see if we cycled anything with our... Okay, so we're looking at Cradle Control by my estimations here. Because if they passed and we cycled, we wouldn't be able to do any sort of shenanigans. I think we're just going to ping off their guy here. Seems like a worthwhile use of our time. And then, like, our Bowmasters basically isn't getting better in this matchup. And now we can start doing stuff with Opposition Agent. That is a Dryad Arbor. I think it's the Ancient Tomb here. Right, let's go for attacking with both. If they want to trade a Dryad Arbor for one of these, that's a-okay with me. So we could try and get them here. I'm not opposed to trying to get them with the Opposition Agent, but we're playing it anyway. They're not a counter spell deck. Right, there's a Windswept Teeth. Go on. Now we do get into a stalemate where if they crack this, we play Oppo Agent, but we can't play Oppo Agent until they crack it. So this costs 3 mana to do this, which will take us off of Opposition Agent. So I don't really want to telegraph that we have an Opposition Agent in hand. Any more than we already have. So they can't play an Endurance here because we can stop them. This might bait the Endurance cast. Might crack the Windswept Teeth. Alright. There's no black mana to interfere with this with like Fatal Push type stuff. Let's have a little look at their deck. We also get to see their hand. Collector Roof, Behemoth, Endurance, Natural Order, Bowmasters. Alright. And we will take the land. Do we want to take the Dryad Arbor? It is a 1-1, but that's not very good into the Bowmasters. I think we'll take the Bayou. It doesn't leave their hand revealed, unfortunately, which is very annoying. Natural Order, Bowmasters, Crater Hoof, that sort of jam. We're leaving the mana open in case we want to draw a card when we do anything with this. A Collector Oof. We will draw a card from this. A Chrome Mox, not a very helpful one. Alright, let's scooping it up. Okay, so Cradle Control. Ashiok looks excellent here. Powder Keg is potentially playable. They have a lot of 1-drops. Removal, any sort of removal, including these Dystopias. These all seem good. They're not going to target our guys, so we definitely don't want the Not of This World. Pithing Needle definitely has some useful text here. Manifold Key is a weird one because they can go into like collector review type stuff. Reanimate is a little bit more of a liability, but again, still fine. Opposition Agent, great. Sheoldred, not actually amazing in this matchup. I think we can probably board out that. We need to find 3 more cuts to accommodate this pile of nonsense. Dauthi Voidwalker is fine here. Reanimate's a weird one because sometimes we can take some useful bits, but I don't think we really want to be indexing into that. And I think we'll trim one of our Chrome Mox in case they jam one of their collectories, so we don't want to end up drawing multiple of these. Oh boy, howdy. Well, this is the sort of gaming that I play quite often. The old Hexmage you on turn 1. Like, they don't know, they have seen the Dark Depths, so it shouldn't be a surprise to them. I would like to have another black card so we can save this Dystopia. Because if we draw another black card, we can imprint it to Chrome Mox and then Bowmasters. I do like the Thoughtseize as well. Would I rather Thoughtseize here or just Bowmasters down their bird? Right, I think the Dystopia is going to go here. I play this. Bowmasters their bird. So next turn we can Thoughtseize plus Dark Depths. And that's usually pretty effective. They're cracking now around Opposition Agent. They can just get basics here because of our Urborg if they want. Hierarch, sure. Green Sun Zenith for 1. This feels like our opponent's building up for a Natural Order turn. Right, let's see what they're working with over here. Right, there's the Natural Order. Goodbye to that. We'll go to attacks. Play this out. Play this out. Does our opponent run Wastelands? Possibly have 1 as a tutor target, so we're just going to make the 2020 now. Alright, what's your draw? Is it good enough? Endurance buys a turn. Alright, they don't have it. Pretty quick 2-0 smashing there. We didn't get to do the whole Dystopia and ruin their day, but once they saw that under the Chrome Mox, if we're putting Dystopia under Chrome Mox, they kind of know they're screwed, because that's a big card in this sort of matchup. Alright, 2-0, let's go to round 3. I can work with this. Hopefully we'll draw another black card or a swamp. That would be useful. Alright, that is a swamp. Now, a basic mountain. That makes me think we're looking at... I don't know, I think we want to get... Okay, let's get our Chrome Mox in here. We'll imprint the Dauthi Voidwalker. And then we just play a turn 1 Sheoldred. I've won many a game from a turn 1 Sheoldred. It's the biggest game in town. I suppose we should have played the Urza Saga instead of the Urborg, actually. Because then we can start cranking out tokens. Yeah, that was a little bit sloppy. Right, some sort of prison-y style deck. Goblin Matron, alright. That's a customer and a half, isn't it? So it's going to go and get the name sticker Goblin. Oh no, it's going to get the Muxus, which means they already have the sticker Goblin. Alright, that's some amount of yikes for us. We can waste them off of City of Traitors and hope that they miss on land. Or we can play the Urza Saga. I think we're probably better off with the Saga. I think we have to stay on blocks of our Sheoldred here. Because if they get haste, we need to be able to block the damage. Yeah, if we'd have played our lands out properly, we could have been making a construct this turn, and that would have been a bit better. Alright, low roll, please. Alright, the high roll. So we're going to see the Muxus. Yep, don't kill me, please. Name sticker, Skirk Prospector. Alright, so they got loads of mana. How good is their hand? An Ancient Tomb. I'm glad we didn't spend time Ghost Quartering. How bad is this going to be for us? A War Chief. Alright, so their guys will have haste. So I think Mux is like 9 power now on attacks. Right, so they can attack, throw the Namesticker Goblin at the Sheoldred, and then we're basically dead. Not bad. This Goblin deck is real good. Real scary to play against. We don't have any Plague Engineers either. Another Bombardiers. Right, this is lethal, I think, right? They attack with everything. Before blocks, they kill this using the Sticker Goblin, because this is +2, right? Yeah, so this will be exactly enough for this. They're dealing 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and then they can throw the other Sticker Goblin post-combat for another 5, or they can throw Muxus for another 8 damage. Our opponent should be able to see this line. Let's see if they do. I guess we do have a bunch of mana up, so maybe they're a little bit scared, but when you got a board like this, I think you just send it, right? The Broadside Bombardiers can bail you out of any trouble if we flash something in. So if they don't throw... Okay. They're letting us block. So this is going to dome us for 8. Okay. They can deal us 10. If they want to with the Bombardiers. That's kind of an interesting line they've gone for there. We could draw the One Ring, which could buy us a turn. If they don't kill us now. Which they can't. They can put us to 1, right? Which makes the One Ring less good. Yeah, they had lethal here if they wanted it. Unless they're playing around something very specific that we could have had. We're not throwing anything either, right? The One Ring. We did draw the One Ring. That is step 1. Let's get drawing some cards. A Shadowspear. That's not the one. We can make a 20/20 next turn. It's going to be Molten Collapse or something. No, they're just tapping the black so they didn't take damage from the thing. We're going to see here. A Goblin Ringleader. Let's see how many more cards our opponent gets to draw off the Ringleader. Battlecry Goblin, Skirk Prospector, and Rabblemaster. That's a lot of very good Magic the Gathering cards. We're already on borrowed time, so every turn we get is a bonus at this point. We could draw Dark Depths and then equip Shadowspear to it. That's pretty good. Alright, I think we are floating off of this. And we can get the Expedition map. We should have drawn some more cards in response. We can get the Pithing Needle to turn off the Bombardiers. Or we can turn off Battlecry Goblin. Basically, we're trying to draw... So, I'm just trying to work out how much... I think it's just Pithing Needle for Broadside Bombardiers here. And then we're drawing into Dark Depths because we need to be able to put the Shadowspear on as well. Okay, we didn't achieve that feat. So now what? Right, so I think we ping off the Prospector. Play out a first Striker. Do we want to Thoughtseize our opponent here when we know they've got Battlecry Goblin, but they don't have that much mana for Battlecry Goblin? I think we're supposed to play the Shadowspear and hope that we can get to another turn here. We had to draw the... If we got the Thespian stage there, we could make a Dark Depths. Maybe we're supposed to just make a Dark Depths. Maybe that's actually smarter. If we'd have drawn from the ring first, I think we'd be right. Right. So they can play Battlecry Goblin. We are also on 8 effectively here. This would be 4. Yes, this has been 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah. No, we had to get Pithing Needle for the Bombardier. Otherwise, they would have just killed us on the swing. All right. First strike is going to come in relatively handy, I hope. How many can we block here? We can block these 2. This will block this, and then we take 3, 6, 9, and then 1 from the token if they swing with everything. So our opponent's already made a mistake and missed lethal this game, so maybe they can make a mistake and not turn all their guys sideways. If they turn all their guys sideways, we do lose. Right, that'll do. We gave it a good fight there. So, this is a matchup where I would like some removal spells. These are removal spells. Powder Keg, probably too slow to really matter here. Mindbreak Trap is a weird one where sometimes it can do stuff, but a lot of the time it's not that impressive. They're basically trying to race to 3 drops into 6 drops, so I don't really like Trinisphere either. This is not a Not of This World matchup. This is not a Nihil Spellbomb matchup. I think the other things here are fine. Manifold Key can probably go. And then we just want removal. Like, Micro Trap is not a difficult thing for our opponent to play around. I don't think it's worth trying to win the game that way. Like, a turn 2 2020 can race, but a turn 3 probably doesn't. So we're either looking for like turn 2 2020 or an interactive hand. This is a turn 3 2020. I think that's just too slow. As sad as that is. Okay, this is an interactive hand. We can keep this. Probably don't need the Chrome Mox though. So we'll lead out on the Urborg here so that we can draw Dark Depths for a turn 2 2020. Let's try and take out the thing that I'm most worried about. They have 1 red source of mana. Go on then. I see an Ancient Tomb here. The Liliana and the Veil. Play this out. New Stick Goblin, Golden War Chief. I think I would rather have the Hexmage in play right now. If they can play this Blood Moon, then sure. That's going to do some work. But maybe we've just stranded them with no red mana. Okay. Play this out. Go to attacks. So we can go and get a 2020 for next turn. We just need our opponent to not hit red mana for 1 more turn. Make a guy. Let's go get Expedition Map. Let's crack Expedition Map. Our opponent needs a very big turn next turn. To find a red source, they can certainly have a pretty big turn mana-wise with double Sticker Goblin. Pyrokinesis. Exiling the Blood Moon. Interesting. Okay. Change what we're getting with this now. Interesting. I think we probably still get a Dark Depths here, but we play out the Saga. And then if they play something that we can ping down for 1, like a Prospect. They're unlikely to play a Prospect here, to be honest. Alright, so now they've got a Mountain, they're kind of unlocked. One of the Name Sticker Goblins. Max roll. Uh-oh. Play the War Chief and then the Sticker Goblin? A Matron. That's something we can ping down at the very least. Which might mess with some maths. And a Muxus. So then they have Sticker Goblin here. This is going to guarantee them a Muxus. Another Name Sticker Goblin. And play the War Chief first. I think if they had played the War Chief before they start doing these other things, it would have been better off for them. But they might be new to the deck, to be fair. Alright, so now we need to kill this Matron, because this might end up with more toughness if they've got the other Haste Lord, the one that gives +1/+1. I think we're just absolutely cooked here. I think this Turbo Muxus deck is by far the best aggro deck in Legacy right now. Which is cool. Because it has a pretty solid aggro plan as well as just like wombo combo get you. So they can give all these guys haste. So how does this work for us? So we block here. And then 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11, 12, 13. And if they throw the Mux at us with the Bombardiers, that's lethal. Yep. We got absolutely pummeled in that game. We did have a line that could have won us the game. But we did not get there. All right, let's go to round 4. We're 2-1. All right, we have a turn 3 2020 with some disruption. And we'll keep this. Shatterskull, Smashing Tat. Alright. A Lowly Swamp. Let us Thoughtseize our opponent. Oh no, more goblins. We're going to have a bad time. So next turn they can make a Rabblemaster, which is probably the scariest threat and also the best thing we can steal with a Reanimate next turn. So that's what we're going to do. Battlecry Goblin is also very good. But this is just a better thing for us to Reanimate. I'll play this out. Play this out. We'll just Reanimate this. There's no point doing it pre-combat because they'll just block it. It saves us both some clicks, and I'm sure our opponent appreciates that. So next turn we play Dark Depths, we can Dark Ritual, make a 2020, and get our opponent. We need to fade this turn and the next turn of our opponents without dying, but on the next turn we will have a 2020 to block with. So that's not nothing. There is the Ringleader. Let's see how scary the next turn is looking for us. Okay. They're going to need some mana to get there. Our hope is that they don't. Oh wow, that's Oh, we'll snap that block up straight away. Basically, we played a Dismember there. Like, we could go and get the Rabblemaster back and make a 2020. The question is, how useful is that? Is the body of the Rabblemaster going to be versus the life? It's probably going to save on average 3 life, so I think it's kind of much of a muchness. So I think we just pass a turn here, and maybe they think that we can't do it. So they're less likely to go for a risky line that might not get them there. But yeah, we are in a little bit of trouble here. They have access to 5 mana here. Have they got Simon Spirit Guide? They do. Okay. Here comes Muxus. So we should have the game now, I think. Where do they keep getting his Spirit Guides from? Alright, here is the Name Sticker Goblin for 5. So this could be Battlecry Goblin, activate Battlecry Goblin. That seems pretty strong. Or it could be War Chief and Battlecry Goblin attack with everything. Or War Chief Matron attack with everything. They've got some options here. Hopefully a 2020 blocking the Muxus will be enough. Alright, so they're probably going to go and get Bombardier. Or they might just try and cast another Muxus. Oh, they're going for another Muxus. So they sack one. So they're going to have to sack everything here to put Muxus on the stack. So they could definitely end up in a worse position than they're in right now. Yeah, that position's kind of similar to the one they could have mustered up anyway. And this doesn't beat us, I don't believe. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh no, it is, right? 6. This is 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, this is exactly lethal. As long as they know to sack with their Bombardiers. Alright, let's see if our opponent makes a mistake. Alright, so then this is exactly lethal and we die. Yuck. This matchup feels pretty horrible. We don't really have good tools for it either. Yeah, we can play a little bit more. I don't think any of these sorts of things are going to help us here. So, Not of This World is bad. Manifold Key's bad. Nihil Spellbomb's bad. Other thing is playable. We could try and play the Mindbreak Traps because we feel like we're so far behind in matchups like this. Maybe we're getting rid of Sheoldred and probably don't have time for Profane Tutor. Let's try a couple of Mindbreak Traps. I don't believe this is correct, but I feel we are so far behind in this matchup that we really need to do something. This hand, I don't think Bowmasters is good enough, so we're going to mulligan. We need, right, the One Ring and Pithing Needle. You know, we got some stuff here. We can keep this. What goes away is the question. Liliana can kind of start shredding some stuff. Maybe it is the Pithing Needle that goes. It can name Broadside Bombardiers. I think the One Ring is just too potent. I think, okay, we're going to go for it like this. We can always go and get the Pithing Needle off of this. Does it matter what we play out here? I don't think so. We'll play this one out. They have Blood Moons, but then we just play the thing anyway. Alright, so all these cards are pretty annoying for us. I think the Rabblemaster... The Rabblemaster's bad, this is bad. Like, all these things are bad for us. I think I'm going to take the Rabblemaster, though. Because that's the thing that they can just play on its own, and it invalidates our other piece of interaction with Liliana. Opponent's playing a mountain and passing. Alright, Chrome Mox. They're not passing. Okay, what's going underneath this? Shadowskull, maybe? It is the Shadowskull. Opposition agent. Not really where we want to be. Okay, so we've got to not die on this turn. So, stick a Goblin first. High roll. Always the high roll. And I assume we're going to see the Ringleader. Yep. What is it going to reveal to us? A Bombardiers. Alright. Kind of worst case scenario in terms of the amount of mana they got floating right now. So they get to bash for 6. And a lot of the things we're doing here are irrelevant. Yikes. So they can dome us for 5 with this Namesticker Goblin. Or they can wait till next turn. If they dome us for 5 now, then they can dome us for 6 next turn. So they probably do throw the Goblin at us. Unless they want to sacrifice it to the Skirk Prospector for mana next turn instead. Alright, they're just throwing the Chrome Mox at us. Sure. It's also fine. Not obviously not fine, but might be a quick one today. I think this is better. This might distract them. Make them send some damage at the Liliana instead of at our face. And it does definitely clear one of the guys off their board. And that's like 5. So that's 7 damage we've stopped them from doing. But they've got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we go to 2 off this next attack. Yikes. God, this deck is just so brutal against us. We need some hard pieces of interaction here. We just don't have that. There's no Plague Engineer. Right, they did spend some resources at the Liliana. That's good. Oh, Blood Moon. That is bad. We lose our Urborg. Alright. What have we got now, deck? Like, we probably need to play the opposition agent here. Which means you float red, play this, keep this, play this guy. Very much in treading water mode. So they can throw this Blood Moon at us, right? So they can hit us for... Well, they're going to throw the Ringleader at us when we block, probably. And that's 6, 7, 8 damage. Then next turn, this is lethal on its own. Unless we can find a piece of removal for it. But they can probably just put the Prospector in so that we can have a lot of our removal blanked. If we don't block here, we die, right? We take 4 and then 6, yeah. So we probably take 6 from this Ringleader. Okay, they're going to take the trade. That's something. Are they going to destroy our life total with their Blood Moon? A Matron. Okay, so they can go to it for something scary and then also dome us for 5 right now. And then they have us dead on attacks. Yeah, not great. Yeah, sure. That matchup feels abysmal. We've played it twice now, so we've fallen down to 2 and 2. So hopefully we can play a non-Goblins matchup. I think the Goblins deck is just incredible, to be honest. Alright, let's go to the final round. Well, our opening hand makes the combo, but it's like turn 4, and we didn't do anything else in the meantime, so I think this is a mulligan. Yuck, this is a mulligan as well. Okay, we can keep this one. What are we throwing away? I think I would like 2 mana on turn 1. I also like Thoughtseize. I like Dauthi Voidwalker. Opposition Agent costs more mana than we have right now. I think Spellbomb can probably go here. So are we Thoughtseizing turn 1 or are we playing the Dauthi Voidwalker turn 1? We will find out in a second. Alright, we might just be dead. Dark Confident. Wowzers. I haven't seen one of those for a while. The One Ring. If we want to play the Dauthi Voidwalker right now, it will cost us a black card. I think given the situation, it's probably the Hexmage that goes here, because we can try and Dauthi Voidwalker Thoughtseize something good, and then we can always steal that. And the Dauthi Voidwalker pressure against the Dark Confident is very strong, because they can't ever choose to block. I'm happy to see a Dark Confident though. Alright, another Dark Ritual, a Hexmage, okay, and another Hexmage. Alright, our opponent's doing a very similar thing to us. They have 1 card in hand. This 2 life is a pretty reasonable, well not reasonable, pretty sizable issue for us. We could just put the One Ring into play. Let's cast this. It's 3 mana, 4 mana. Play the One Ring. A Thoughtseize. Our opponent's got 1 card in hand. Is it worth us Thoughtseizing this? I don't think so. I think we'll put this Thoughtseize underneath. I pay 2 life. This is the you lose 2 life, so the One Ring won't stop the damage on it. I don't think we do. I think this 2 life is going to be too important. Now, if we get some more cards going on. Okay, they've revealed a Dark Depths. Okay, so they have a 20/20. Okay, how do we beat that? Anyone? Any ideas? Nope, we lose. Alright, at least we're seeing a Dark Depths deck win. So that's something. So, we're going to want some Sheoldred's Edicts for this. I think some other removal in the form of Feed the Swarms, probably not the worst. Other than that, yeah, I don't think we want any other things, so we're not going to need this. I don't think we'll need Nihil Spellbomb here. I don't really want to Pithing Needle our own things, but maybe we get into a situation we have to. But right, we'll try this. Turn on Dauthi Voidwalker with Troll of Khazad-dûm cycle is probably acceptable. Start ritual. Dauthi Voidwalker. Swamp cycle this for later. So we have a land for turn 2. If we're just on a good old-fashioned race, Shadowspear can upend that quite nicely. Duress. Okay, no more Shadowspear. Right, start bashing. Shout this Hexmage. And keep going. A wasteland. Alright. Shadowspear for our opponent. Pithing Needle probably naming Vampire Hexmage. The One Ring. Alright. They do have their own Hex Mages, so that makes sense why they wouldn't want to do that necessarily. Right, let's bash in with these. Let's play our stuff out. We're just trying to aggro our opponent out as best we can. Just playing like limited. The Plague Engineer would definitely be a problem for us. Hex Mage of their very own. Good attacks here. We can make a creature unblockable, but we're not doing that right now. These guys can trade. We want to keep this off the board so our opponent can't make a 20/20 as easily. Right, let's see if they need that mana or if they want to wasteland us. They want to wasteland us. Understandable, sure. So if we activated Manifold Key on anything last turn, then it wouldn't make any difference. Right, there's a Hexmage. So they can already make a 20/20 if they want to. Right, I'm okay with trading this while they have the Shadowspear though. Alright. So we can make a 20/20 if our opponent plays a Dark Depths. An Urza Saga. Alright. Another Hexmage. Okay. Equipping a Hexmage over there. Let's have a Saga. Bowmasters for the 1 point damage. Why would we have Bowmasters? It's kind of annoying now. I'll play this out so they still can't play out the Dark Depths. So now the life totals aren't changing. They're going to be going up to 4. We're going to be losing 3. They're going to be losing 3 down to 1. So our life total is going to change. Theirs isn't. So that's not ideal. Surprised I managed to fit Wasteland in their mana base as well. Alright, there is a construct. Again, we can still draw Bowmasters and win the game. But that probably doesn't work after this turn. Liliana, though. That's an interesting one. If we Liliana, we can't make a construct. If we Liliana, make them sack a guy, they probably sacrifice the Hexmage, and then what? Alright, I think we are attacking and making constructs here. We keep their life total low enough, use ours as a resource. We have the Manifold Key, which allows us to get through 1/3 blockers next turn, in theory. I think that's better than Liliana. Right, we're just going to make a construct here before they can do Pithing Needle nonsense. A Grindstone. Is our opponent playing that weird deck that we played the other day that was really bad? We didn't have Dark Confidence. They probably fixed it a little bit from the one I played. But it was like Painter Depth. Alright, so this is going to be 7 life. That's quite a lot of life, isn't it? We'll put them to 8. We're going to remove all counters from our Saga. Okay. That means we can't get the Shadowspear ourselves. So we can Ghost Claw away their Saga. It doesn't help us play more as Saga tokens, which is kind of what we need to do here. Although we could do that instead of Liliana-ing, but I don't think that's... Alright, then we have to get rid of the Saga here. And this will attack. I think we are in making this, reducing their creatures. Interesting they got rid of the one with the Shadowspear on. Because now it's going to cost them mana to re-equip it. No Dark Depths this turn because they've already played a land. I guess they got lots of mana, so they don't really care that much. Okay. Thespian stage, copying our Urza Saga. Sure. Just coming at us or Liliana? Coming at us. Okay. I don't think we block here. They got up to 11. We've got 3, 4, 5, 6 damage. That's not quite enough, is it? Urborg also not the most helpful here. So I guess we play out the Urborg. we can get their Wasteland and take out their Urza Saga. Actually, I think we plus this Liliana first in case our opponent's got something really good in hand. Okay, they didn't. We've already played land actually, so we don't get to take their Wasteland if we do that. So if we activate this, we have 2 3/3s which can trade up into this. But we don't get to stop them from making another token. Actually, does it have any counters on? This does not have any counters on, so they won't be able to make a construct just yet. Right, so we can attack for 3 here. Make some constructs to block with, or make a construct to block with, and also copy our Saga. Alright. Tense game. They're just going to draw Painted Servant and kill us, I think. But that would be amusing. We're going to go for it here. Oh, they haven't gone for it. That's interesting. That's very interesting. Oh, no. Wrong ability. Let's make a Golem. An Orcish Bowmasters. That's the last card in hand. Is this going to ping down our Liliana? I think it probably does, yeah. Grindstone targeting us. Alright, let's have another Saga ticking up. Alright, so now what we do is we make our 5/5 unblockable. Go attacks. Attacking with our 2 unblockable guys for exactly lethal. Our opponent has no cards in hand, this should be game. It was a really good game though. We've got one more to play, so wasn't expecting to find the mirror, but here we are. Alright, so now we've seen Grindstone. Am I more interested in Pithing Needle? I think possibly. Do I want Powder Kegs for when they're ahead with Saga tokens as well? Tough to say. How useful is this Needle? Is it better than Sheoldred? Sheoldred kind of just is like a big deal. The opposition agent is good against their thing. Maybe trim a Troll. That's kind of part of our mana base though. Maybe Profane Tutor. Let's try that. This hand folds to a discard spell and also doesn't do anything. So let's. This hand does do stuff. We'll keep this. One of these cards has to go. Like this is a nice combo. Maybe it's the Liliana that goes. So the plan is to turn 1, Dark Ritual, Thoughtseize, Troll, Reanimate. And then turn 2, we get to Sheoldred's Edict. Alright, our opponent's going first with a Dark Ritual. How bad is it going to be for us? They're playing another Dark Ritual. That's a lot. Painted Servant. Okay. And a Dark Confidence. Wowzers, trousers. That was a lot of stuff, wasn't it? I think we're obviously Dark Ritual in this turn. I think we are still Thoughtseizing here. I think if they had the thing, they'd probably play it. Let's see what they're like. Okay, goodbye Sheoldred's Edict. And we'll Swamp Cycle this. Just try and batter our opponent down before they can draw the thing. Let's reanimate this guy. Alright. We've got a 3-turn clock most likely. Thespian stage. Right, so probably play out the Urza Saga here. Yep. A Duress. Okay, we're probably losing the Sheoldred's Edict here. Yep, there it goes. Let's attack. We should kill them before this Urza Saga wins the game for them. I reckon. So it goes to 2 this turn. And we bash them. Maybe we don't kill them before that. But maybe they won't have enough mana. Yep, so there's another Urza Saga. Alright, we're going to need something here. Dark Ritual is good. Alright, so now I have 3 creatures. They can block this if they want to, but they have to block it with everything. Right, they're not doing that. They're just coming in. Okay with me. Profane Tutor ticks down. It's not quite the one we wanted. We know they have the lands. They can definitely do all the stuff they need to do here. Yep, so they're just going to grindstone us out now. And we are just 1 turn too slow. Yeah, they drew the Duress, which would have either taken out their card advantage engine or their painter. Probably their card advantage engine. But we needed them to hit a few more things. They hit only lands off their Dark Confident, I think, right? So, yep, that's us dead. Alright, we finished with a 2-3 on this league, which is not a very good record. But we did just get absolutely clowned by the Goblin matchup, which felt awful, and it felt like our deck is not built to beat that in any way. Let's talk about the list. So whenever you try and play decks like this, you have the problem of the amount of colourless lands you run. And we ran into that once or twice, but it wasn't too bad in this deck, to be honest. What I also think is, where we've got these sort of like weird numbers of stuff, we're not actually very reliable at what we're doing. We have this like spicy Profane Tutor package going on, but I think I just have a more reliable deck that does the things I want would probably be better for me. Because that, like, we kind of have, I think having the Urza Saga package, that makes sense. But then we're running these 6 cards, and they could just be like more Voidwalkers, more Oppo Agents. Griefs would be really nice if we're running Reanimate anyway. So you could have 4 Griefs, a Reanimate, and then something else there. Because we need more interaction. That's kind of how we're falling down a lot of time. And the problem I'm seeing is, in the sideboard, we've got some interaction for sure, but we have to cover so many bases with all these different things that we're just not having enough sometimes. I think the mirror at the end, I think our deck on average would probably be stronger because they have too many disparate plans going on where they've got, you know, I've played the Dark Depths Painted Servant deck. You know, I've played that a few times and it's not very reliable. It has a lot of colourless lands. They're even running Wastelands as well, which is pretty wild. And also they're running Dark Confident, but we never really drew Bowmasters when they were good. So, you know, there is that too. But their deck obviously has some really powerful stuff they can do in it. And they have multiple, like, I win buttons. So they do have draws that can just win out of nowhere, more so than we do. So I also think on average our deck is better. Like, the ceiling of their deck is probably higher. Yeah, I think the problem with this, for me, is interaction. I also think the Manifold Key, I like having a big unblockable guy, but rarely are we getting big unblockable guys outside of... Obviously, we have a 20/20, which doesn't necessarily need to be blocked that much. And when you draw the Manifold Key, it feels pretty awkward. Like, if we're not running the One Ring, or we're just playing better stuff here, we probably don't need the Manifold Key either. So that frees up 7 slots for, like, good cards that we can just reliably do stuff with. So I think if these were, like, Griefs and a Reanimate, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5... that gives us 2 more slots to play with as well, so we can have 2 more Dauthi Voidwalkers. And then we've got better stuff to do with our couple of Chrome Moxes on turn 1, if that's the thing we're doing. So I think something like that would probably be where I go. Now, sometimes these little silver bullets are just going to win you games. That's true. But we never really did the Profane Tutor thing. We had it suspended and then we died. Or no, I think we won that game, actually. We suspended it. But then a lot of times... like, we never really drew it, and we boarded a couple out sometimes. It felt too slow. Profane Tutor is not the fastest thing in the world, and you can really feel that sometimes. Yeah, like this list seems fine. Obviously, it went 7-2 at Eternal Weekend. You know, it does some good stuff. I think we could probably sharpen it up a little bit. I don't think the free spells, the tutor spells are running are exciting enough to reduce our reliability of, like, just core spells that are good. We could also get rid of the Vault of Whispers if we're changing this up. Like, Vault of Whispers is fine, but I think it's just a liability and we could have another swamp. Like, I'd even rather have one of the non-basics that is a spell. So like Agadeem's Awakening or something, which is not terrible with some of the stuff we've got. You know, we can bring back an Oppo Agent and a Bowmasters. That can be acceptable. I don't think Takanuma is where you want to be, but maybe it is. Or it probably just is a swamp, right? Or a single castle Locthwain or something like that. But yeah, this deck is fine. I think it has some slight holes in it where, you know, decks like Goblins are going to run us over pretty hard. I think Initiative is probably going to run us over quite hard as well. But against the blue decks, we're probably doing a lot better. Like, Monoblack stuff is pretty reasonable into blue. And your Bowmasters are good. Their Bowmasters aren't. They're just there to kill your Bowmasters against, like, the blue-black matchups. So, like, when I've played when I played Monoblack Scam, which is, like, the sort of the deck I built for European Legacy Masters, it's kind of broken out a little bit since then. That deck is very good against all, like, the Delver and Scam lists. Like, the blue-black Scam lists. So you can kind of take from that, I think, is probably what I would do here, and just shore up and be doing powerful things. Like having the additional interaction of a grief would be really nice here. So yeah, I reckon we trim 5 of these cards for 1 reanimate, 4 grief. Then we probably put in like just 2 Dauthi Voidwalkers is probably acceptable. And we rely on the hand disruption as our interaction. And then post board, we probably want to tweak this a little bit for the removal. I don't think some of these single, like Trinisphere is a singleton, and Palantír, I'm not really big on those. I was playing Palantír in the main deck before, but there's so much Bowmasters, Palantír can be a bit of a liability. I don't mind Ashiok because it's kind of doing the same thing as Opposition Agent, so that's okay. But I think I would probably be looking at trimming these 2 cards. Like this is removal, so it's kind of redundant with other stuff. I think Dystopia is also fine, but maybe just have like some Plague Engineers to kind of help with some of these aggro matchups. Because a Plague Engineer will always trade into something, and it can usually get something else when it comes down. And against Goblins, the amount of damage it saves was enormous. It stops all their tokens. It can sweep up some of their X1s, and it obviously like halves the 2/2 Goblins damage-wise. And if you ever get a second one, it's usually lights out. So that's kind of where I would want to go. But, you know, Goblins hadn't been seeing that much play. Like the first 2 Eternal Weekends didn't have a lot of Goblin presence. It was only North America one where it became like one of the highest win rates of all the decks. And I think it put 2 into the top 16, I believe, if my breakdown that I wrote was right. So Turbo Muxus Goblins is really legit, and it definitely feels like a weak slot for this. Some of these like Ancient Tomb aggro decks are going to be a problem for us. Nevertheless, you know, if you want to play a mono black depth strategy, this is mostly there, and I would, you know, with aside from these slots, I would recommend this deck if you want to do that sort of thing. I think the actual balance they've got of colourless and coloured mana sources here is pretty reasonable. Obviously, give yourself another swamp here. But yeah, I think this is kind of reasonable. But maybe instead of running Ghost Quarter, we run a Wasteland if you want that effect. Or maybe just another Ancient Tomb or another Swamp. So like these are kind of questionable. And the Vault of Whisper should definitely be a Swamp, I think. So these are the 2 questionable cards, I think, as well, in terms of the mana base. But all in all, I think the deck is decent enough. And with that, I think we are done for today. So remember to like and subscribe to help the channel out. Really appreciate it. And tell all your friends if they're into Legacy. More viewers really helps me out. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'm glad that we get to enjoy this wonderful Legacy format. And goodbye. If you'd like to support me in the channel, please check out my Patreon. It has a free guide to budget turbo depths, as well as 3 tiers of support. A low cost one that enters you into my monthly raffle for a free donation deck on the channel, a mid-tier subscription that gives you access to my detailed turbo depths guide that is updated every month, as well as regular articles, and lastly the higher tier gives you all of the above, as well as a monthly donation deck for my channel. If you're interested in supporting the channel this way, please check out the link in the description.